with this innovation flavor, from the 5G PPP with this long-term infrastructural perspective, and also innovation, not just in terms of technology, but how we deliver in the new business models, the IoT communities, the communities that may be more related to smart cities or any of the verticals that are empowered by IoT. It's also very timely because we are in the process of thinking about our program 16-17. Some of you maybe are aware that in the context of the fire, we have carried out a consultation, and there was a workshop on the 1st of October that somehow informed the Commission on some of the lines that our communities would like to see explored in the work program 16-17. And last but not least, it's very interesting in the sense that, like you again said, Ernst, precedes, and it's co-located in the sense of Brussels, the workshop with Japan, a workshop that just highlights the excellent collaboration that exists, and that will put another element in our strategy for cooperation with Japan. Now, the fire is a very interesting strategic element in the portfolio of responsibilities and the actions of DG Connect and of the Commission. If I think about the future Internet, a topic in which I'm particularly responsible and attached to, you have elements of networks, you have elements of clouds, you have elements of IoT, but if you want to find by its own design an element that fosters cooperation between all of those technological and business actions, this is fire. And so it's not by surprise that we see here people from different communities. It's the space in which we expect that the specialists in the various technological dimensions, or the ones that bring a more research or more innovation, a more vertical 1 or vertical 2 approach, will come together to experiment and to validate solutions. So cooperation and integration of perspectives is, I think, one of the key elements for FIRE. And it has been playing this very actively throughout the years, showing a continuous vitality that is particularly important for the future Internet research in Europe. Now, the structure of today's event that was a bit ago in the projector shows that in this second FIRE Forum you have 3 elements of particular interest. The first, the 5G, and therefore the articulation between the objectives and the process and the means, and the goals of the 5G PPP, and the role that FIRE may play, in particular in terms of favoring experimentation, will be exploited. Second, the broader aspect of IoT. We have invested a lot on IoT in the past. IoT has a lot of perspectives that are relevant, from the microelectronics to the embedded systems up to the large-scale deployment requiring powerful infrastructures, Internet infrastructure that will cope with all sorts of different traffic. But again, it requires experimentation and requires that we have real-time environments where we can experiment and pilot some of those solutions. It is very clear that if Work Program 16-17 will bring something new, it will be also in the identification of what we are building as a concept and calling for the time being as large-scale pilots that will carry out experiments that go even broader the traditional FIRE environment by reaching out all the value chain from the hardware to the software, to the protocols, to the deployment, and engaging the societal challenge dimension very clearly in this process. A third element that we are going to exploit today is the aspects of international cooperation. And again, we are very appreciative that the colleagues from Japan, profiting from the events of tomorrow, are here present. The aspects of experimentation in the domain of Internet have been always particularly careful on the international dimension. It's not by coincidence that we have experiments with Japan, with Brazil, and a strong cooperation with the United States. Comparing notes and putting in practice interconnections of test beds not just engages other perspectives that may be elsewhere developed, it also tests interoperability, tests other approaches, tests new technologies, integrates them, and makes sure that the results of the FIRE are more solid and more relevant for the program. So, before leaving you to, I think, what is the real work, means, coming up through those 3 points, discuss, integrate views, and come by the end of the day with another step in the building up of an experimental approach for future Internet in Europe. I obviously would like to wish you all the best for today. Wish that the different views, the different perspectives can be made explicit, that we can enrich each other, and that globally FIRE go out of this meeting stronger than before and richer as a concept. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, Mario Campolargo, and I'm sure we will have an interesting day today. It will be quite informal, a lot of discussion, but also a lot of talks. So talks will be relatively short to allow sufficient level of interaction. I would like now to give the floor to Per Blix, who is head of Unit E4 Experimental Platforms, to explain more about FIRE and its future in the next years.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with you here, and it's great to see so many of you coming for the FIRE Forum. FIRE Forum started, as Hans mentioned, last year, but FIRE started before that. It's almost 7 years now since we started this activity. The starting point was to get hands-on experience, to bridge between research and innovation, I would say. And this is what we have done for a number of years. And from the start, we started from the networking layer very much, and we went upwards. But at the same time, we had the living labs included in the activity. Living labs have now become more mainstream, I would say. They are all over in our work program, very actively contributing in different areas, while FIRE is now looking in different directions. So 5G has been mentioned already. IoT is another direction that we are looking now into. We had a consultation 1st of October, which I think was quite fruitful to get more discussions going on what kind of facilities we should put our emphasis on in the future. What about the open calls? How to involve users even more? What about sustainability? We had a number of quite interesting discussions in this direction. And I think this workshop today could also bring in new ideas also to these dimensions. Federation is clearly one key point. International have been mentioned. Internet is global, and I'm wondering when we get a sort of global federation going. We see already very promising collaboration with Japan, and we will hear more about that today. We also, as Mario mentioned, have very promising projects with Brazil, Korea. We have also a project with South Africa, actually. and Jenny fire is also going on. So let's see. I would expect that in the coming year we might see something more global coming out of these initiatives. So I think it's time to start the workshop. I'm very much looking forward to your contributions today. And thanks very much to Amplifier for organizing the whole thing. And over to Hans.
Okay,
thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. I will now continue in saying a few words about fire vision and strategy, one which is a key activity of the Amplifier support action. Just getting up my slides, sorry. Oh. Die van mij staat er niet bij. Folder online. Oké. Ja. Oké. Yeah, okay. Okay, well, the Amplifier project has started around 1.5 years ago to explore the future development of the FIRE program, including its relationships with other initiatives like the FIPPP, the 5G, the Smart Cities, the Living Labs, and so on. So I would like to say a few words in this opening slot about where we are currently. Of course, it will be a quite general summary, but we have a lot of interesting white papers which you can download from our website. More about it later at the end. It's maybe good to take a quick look of FIRE where it stands today, already mentioned by Per Blixt. The landscape today is the result of a long history and a lot of investment already. So we, on top of this picture on the left, you see the current picture of support actions. And of course the results of the last call have not been included here, but today we have a slot with the new project. So this is also interesting to inform ourselves about the new developments. But where we are, let's say mid-2014, is a couple of support actions looking at different aspects of FIRE's development, SMEs, for example, in the Fusion project, the collaboration with China in the ECO. And then we have, quite importantly, a number of facilities that provide the testbed services. There's one of the key projects is Fed for Fire, who aims to create a federated network of testbeds across Europe, including the linkages with the Genie in the United States and other developments. Then we have quite a number of experimentally driven research projects. And overall, this set of projects covers a number of key technology directions as explained on the right here in the pentagon. Wireless technology and opportunistic networking, content-centric social networking, including e-learning, SDN, networking protocols and management, data and service management, including clouds and sensors and Internet of Things. So you see already that we are looking for bridges towards other developments. It's not only testbeds, it's not only a particular set of technologies, it's a wider scope. What I said already is that this federated network of testbeds is more or less covering all of Europe, and there have been some interesting developments in the last year in relation to sustainability, providing open access. Some of the facility projects like Bonfire and Ophelia and OneLab, they have created open access structures allowing businesses and other actors, research institutes, to use their facilities quite easily, even after the end of some of these projects like Bonfire. Naturally, the evolution of the fire facilities is very much dependent on the projects approved. So we cannot just invent some kind of future vision. The constraints are there, the current set of projects, the history, and also the mechanism of approving new projects. Still, we found it important last year to start in very close collaboration with the Commission to look into fire's future. And we started last year, many of you will remember the discussions that we had last year in October about these scenarios. And we were at that time looking at two dimensions, two types of forces affecting fire's future. One is the type of collaboration that we can see in research and development. And the other is how to structure that collaboration. So time is lacking, of course, to go really in depth into this, but we see different potential futures. But it's not or this or that. There could be coexisting. Elements could be coexisting. That is something that we are exploring today as well. In terms of the facilities, for example, we could end up in a situation of a very diverse, heterogeneous set of facilities in the fragmented model on top, or in a much more coherent set of facilities working closely together, top-down coordinated. So, of course, this is a very huge simplification of reality, but it is something to think about. And on the horizontal axis, we see how collaboration would be structured. Would it be working with single stakeholders on the left, single stakeholders, individual researchers, individual businesses, or would it much more be working with communities of actors that are interested in some kind of innovation area? So there you see four quite extreme futures appearing who could coexist still. It's not or, as I said already. So we are using this not as a forecast, of course not. Scenarios are a means to establish a dialogue, to establish a discussion within the community. And that's how we have used it since last year in a couple of meetings, and more will come. What we did after constructing these scenarios is to think about them, to start thinking about what kind of directions are suggested to explore. And there are a couple of them that I would like to highlight. One is to explore new ways of gaining longer-term sustainability of the facilities, becoming less dependent on public funding, especially Commission funding. This has always been difficult, but we have to explore these directions. Another is to develop collaborations with related future Internet initiatives, where we could aim at sharing knowledge, technologies, tools, offering jointly services for a wider range of actors, such as the Future Internet PPP. There are ongoing discussions and collaborations, and also the 5G PPP, which is now which has now been launched and provides a lot of opportunity for collaboration. Also to reach a wider customer base, where we, from the demand side, could target a much more wider group of actors, not only research institutes, but also businesses and SMEs, as explored in the Fusion project already. And of course the new initiatives that I've mentioned already, using advanced service concepts like testbed as a service. Then the scenarios also brought us to think about the future role of fire in terms of its business and societal impact. How could it contribute to the grand challenges, for example, as regards cities, urban development, regional development, smart specialization strategies, but also innovation support for advanced sectors, for example, manufacturing, which is now a little bit out of the picture, but provides a lot of opportunity for the kind of testbeds and facilities and services we are talking about. And here FIRE could assume a future role as accelerator of innovative developments. So all this means also that we are currently thinking about the FIRE value proposition, as you could call it. What kind of services, what kind of value is added, is created by FIRE, with what kind of partners. So this picture, it's very difficult to read, but it paints a kind of future vision on the short term, the medium term, and the longer term, where on the longer term, and it's also an ambition, this is not to say that we really have to achieve that because it's generic, but it provides a kind of mission and vision statement that could be inspiring for us, for our discussions. And it says on the longer term, FIRE becomes the RDI environment or accelerator within Europe's future internet innovation ecosystem. It helps accelerating innovation cycles and tackle societal challenges. This kind of mission statement, which also could provide a kind of identity to the FIRE community. Of course, we are still in ongoing discussions. Even today, we'll discuss all kinds of aspects. And I should also say that we are not just inventing kind of general mission statements, but we are going deeper into the technology background, into the applications, the services, the experimenter ways of working, the tools, and also the framing conditions. This is exemplified in this rather complex picture, which is just a very top-down summary, a very general summary of the roadmap that we have started to develop. The roadmap we had a workshop about elements of this roadmap already in Athens at the FIA workshop and also people workshop a couple of weeks ago. But the roadmap that we have painted here is defined in terms of connected with the challenges I've mentioned, the 5 points: resources solutions, services and access solutions, experimenter solutions, and framing conditions. Resources solutions, what kind of test beds would we need? Yeah? The service and the access solutions, how to bring the testbed facilities to the users, and how to, in the experimental solutions, what kind of tools and methods and strategies will be needed to really reach the users and reach a wider set of users. And last but not least, the framing conditions, which also would affect FIRE itself as a community. One of the things we are discussing is what would be the somewhat longer-term future of FIRE. Would it be a self-standing community with some kind of legal basis, or would it remain as it is, a community in itself, of course, but no really formal structures or a minimum set of formal legal structures? This is all open for debate in the months to come. Okay, yes, time is lacking to go deeper into this, but one of the persons who has been developing this roadmap is here today. It's Paul Grace on the right, and if you would like to discuss more in depth about this roadmap, you could find Paul or other people from Amplifier here in the room. And of course we have that nice document, the 1.3, which is available from our website, where you can read all kinds of details. But this is not just a fixed document. It is one step in an ongoing process of discussions within the community. So this is the end of my introduction talk. We have a lot of interesting white papers on our portal, on our website. Amplifier has its own website there, but the papers are stored on a general part of the FIRE portal. And well, we are happy to engage in all kinds of discussions with you concerning this material. We have stepped aside more or less from the formal deliverables, trying to write shorter white paper documents that really could act as documents in discussion with all of you, who are shorter, more concise, more to the point, and so on. So we are happy to continue that process in the year to come until the end of the project.